Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ramadan Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Healthy Muslim in Ramadan. I want to talk today about diseases of the heart. We've been talking a lot about the importance of caring for our body, because our body is what we've been given in this dunya as a physical vehicle in which we travel, and the journey is in order for us to return to Allah. If we neglect the car, we neglect our body, it's going to make the journey much more difficult. But at the end of the day, it's important to realize who the driver is and what the journey is all about. There's a hadith which says, "How inferior is the medicine of the body, which is of necessity bound to decay before long. The medicine of the heart takes priority." And I think that's true. You know, if you really look around you and you look at current civilization and the wealth and skills and opportunity that abounds, where are people traveling? Are they just accumulating wealth for luxury, for hedonism? Or is there a purpose that is evident? I think there is a crisis in not seeing that life is waning, in what is to come is close at hand, that death is imminent but the journey is still long, that the provisions are scanty, the dangers are great, and the road is blocked. The perceptive know that only ilm, knowledge, and good works prevail. That's a really good hadith. So the point is to get spiritual intelligence, knowledge, and through that knowledge to perfect our actions in what is called good works. This is the point of being human and being alive. Another hadith. The honor and excellence of man is that which surpasses all sorts of creatures, and his aptitude of knowing Allah, to whom be praise. This knowledge is man's beauty in this world and his provision in the world to come. This knowledge can only come from the heart. This is not a matter of the intellect. You can be the greatest alim in the world, you can be a great intellectual, but your heart can be illiterate. It is the heart that knows Allah and works for Allah and strives for the reward of Allah and draws near to Him and reveals that which is in the presence of Allah. That is our ultimate journey. The members of the body are merely slaves, important slaves, but merely slaves. The heart is that which, if a man knows it, he knows himself, and if he knows himself, he knows his Lord. Have a test. Imagine you're dead. It's nice. I don't have to go to the laundry. I don't have to worry about that overdraft I had. I don't have to worry about the letter I should have written. All of that's gone now. All of the anxieties you had, they're all gone. All of that's nothing. So who are you? Who are you now? And what is the important next thing? The important next thing is to meet Allah. But what of all these preoccupations with VAT, with getting your car serviced, with mowing the lawn, what of all these preoccupations have prepared you to meet Allah, to understand what the point of your life has been? Thinking about that will help you to know what in your life is relevant. It's a question of looking at something in two different ways. You can look at food. We've been talking a lot about food. Now, you could be a great chef. You could be on television. You can have your own program. You can win prizes. You can be honored for the excellence of your understanding of taste and style. That is man's intelligence. That is man's nafs, man's talent and his skills. But if you don't know the meaning of food, if you don't know the purpose of food, you haven't understood from the heart the reason why you were a cook. And food that is cooked with reverence, with a knowledge of the meaning of God's blessings, and how that food will become part of a person and help them on their journey to Allah. And the whole transition and collection and farming of that food has been part of allowing a human person to praise Allah. A person who cooks in that way will cook with the heart, and it'll be a very different taste. It'll have something special. It's important, those of you who are preparing food in Ramadan, to reflect on this really deeply. So, the heart has characteristics and states, much as the human personality. But the nature of the heart, that intimate connection between the heart and Allah, not even the Prophet mentioned this secret. That everyone has to be silent on. But what we can do is look a little bit about what blocks us, what keeps us grounded in this world. So all we're looking at is the details of circumstance, and we're not looking always into the inner meaning of every action. The self, the nafs, in English I think it could be translated as the soul. The soul of man, the essence of man, is a mixture of his intelligence and his personality. And it contains appetites, it contains anger, it contains desire. These can be used for destruction, for the ego, for selfishness, for acquisition. We see plenty of that in the world. Or these characteristics of the ego, the self, can be used in the service of the heart. If you're a naturally timid, shy person, if you're self-deprecating, if you have no self-confidence, it might be difficult for you to believe that there is a loving God who wants you to be a giant, who wants you to be his closest saint, because you'll never think there could be anything good about you. That's your intelligence limiting your capacity as a spiritual human being. So we need to understand what we have as the work tools of the human physical body and of our intelligence and personality, and use that in the service of our spiritual intelligence, which is our heart. A lot of this is mentioned in the Quran, and there are many attributes of the soul, the human person who is looking for Allah. In one ayat it's mentioned, "O you soul which is at rest, return to your Lord pleased and pleasing to him." That's a person who's at peace, who's not fussed by the detail, the irrelevancies of life, and has become more centered in his worship. The soul in conflict, recognizing his mistakes, is something that Allah swears by. He wants us to be self-critical. He says, I swear by the critical soul. He wants us to strive in this way. The soul that commands to evil. And I do not acquit myself, for verily the soul commands to evil. So the soul can push you in both directions. It's not necessarily a force for good at all. The concealing soul, the soul that makes evil seem inconsequential and which conceals, the purifying soul, the remembering soul, and bring thy Lord to remembrance in your soul, the selfish soul, the idealistic soul. These are all characteristics, but they're part of our journey to Allah. We'll have a break now. Please come back. There's a lot more. Thank you. Welcome back. We're exploring the nature of the heart, which is the essence, the hidden essence of the purpose of our being. This sounds pretentious and pompous, maybe, but I am deadly serious that if you haven't understood this perspective of every action, of everything you do, you're not living in the third dimension. You're not living the real meaning of what it is to be spiritual and to be human. The heart is that in man which comes to know the real nature of things. The heart can only work through the vehicle of our body, the provision of our intelligence and personality, and the circumstances of our life which determine our actions. But the nature of those actions, the meaning of those actions, is what we really, the inner meaning of those actions, we really need to reflect on. Mostly when we do something, we can have a multiplicity of meanings. I'll come back to the metaphor of cooking, because cooking is so important in Ramadan. When you're cooking, you may do it for a number of reasons. Maybe you want to show off your skills and the fact that you have secrets. You have the only recipe for your husband's grandmother's favorite dish. Maybe you want to be praised for your knowledge. Maybe you want to show love to your family by very carefully selecting for them the things you know that will give them pleasure. Remember, we were talking about the things they need, and of course you can kill with giving somebody what they don't need but want. So there's another level of intellectual understanding of what you should be giving them. But for many of us, cooking is a vehicle of love. And even though we know something is not good for somebody, we'll still cook it for them. Don't forget the metaphor of chocolate cake. Everybody knows its meaning. Forbidden, but delicious. But at the end of the day, are you cooking for popularity? Are you cooking for love? Are you cooking because you've got nothing else to do and you're a slave in the kitchen and you're resenting all of it and you're kind of putting a lot of resentment and everything into the whole thing? What is the state of your heart when you're cooking? These are superficial things. They're interesting. Motivation is very interesting. But I'm talking in this situation about self-motivation, about your personality, about what's going on in the family, about the dynamic of what's going on. And this is all very two-dimensional. But there's a third dimension. What is the nature of food? What is the nature of Allah's will for you to be the cook today for your family? How will Allah use you for the spiritual benefit of your family through the vehicle of your food? If you cook with Bismillah, truly understanding its meaning, you can transform the world. This is the hidden nature of the real dimension of spiritual understanding. We should aim for it. There is no reason why we should believe these are the provinces of saints and somehow we have to chain ourselves at a very mundane level of life. We should look for these hidden dimensions of the power in ordinary things. These secrets are urged in every religion. You'll find the same in the Kabbalah. You'll find the same in Christian monasticism. You'll absolutely find the same in Buddhism. We're not meant to be two-dimensional. We're meant to be seeking to get to the true divine and spiritual meaning of everything. So, what are the tools we can use? See, watch, but don't, when you look at something, just look at what it is. It's bread. Can you make bread? Okay, yes you can. You can get some dough, you can roll it out, put in the right proving, put in some extra things, and your bread's delicious. But have you grown the wheat? Do you know what a wheat grain is? Can you create a wheat grain? You're merely a tool of the provision of a mystery, which is a food. And the hidden content of that food is something that has been created which we don't understand. And the benefit is equally powerful and is something we don't understand. So it's not just baking a loaf of bread. As you're baking the bread, be conscious of this. Think on it. And if you think enough, you'll understand it. It needs imagination. It needs reflection. It needs recollection. Ultimately, you will know, but you will know in a place other than your intellect, other than in your recipe book, other than in the factual details of your card indexes and the tools of your life. You'll know at another level the meaning of things. That meaning you will know in your heart. It isn't to be found in books. I can't write this in a book. I can't tell you, because anything I tell you will be wrong. These are secrets, but the secrets can be acquired by people who think deeply on the true nature of everything, and I mean everything, that happens in their lives. I come back to the metaphor of the absence of life, the absence of action. Who are you when you're lying in the mortuary, not having to do anything? What you will have at that time is not a laundry list telling Allah the meals you cooked and how good you were to your family and how they liked it and so on. These are very peripheral things. What you will have in your heart is a gladness because you have understood the purpose of what it is to be human. And that purpose is to use aspects of the creation of Allah through your human personality, through your talents, through what Allah has given you. And you've given those actions back to Allah by understanding the real nature of what is contained in the actions that you have done. Everywhere you look, there is the face of God. If you look at a slice of bread, it's a slice of bread. If you look at a slice of bread differently, you see eternity. And in that eternity is the metaphor of every moment of your life. It's an endlessly repeating cycle. in this evolution of spiritual intelligence, of course, when we start, we're no good at it. Children are much better at it, actually, than grown-ups are. The problem with being adult is that we've allowed our perceptions to be completely obscured by the details of dunya, by the complexities of getting through a normal life and hurrying and rushing and having our computer and entering 5,000 things into our database and so on. And we think that because we've done 10,000 things today, we've had a good day, we've done a lot. Doing a lot equals good. Maybe it does. But have you understood what you've been doing? Have you really understood what you've been doing? So much of what we do is totally unconscious, spiritually unconscious. We rush like lemmings from one drama to another drama, not really knowing what's happening, where, when, or what. I see this as an old lady moaning about the changing state of the world. I'm not happy about what I see. The world is more complex and less wise. It is full of circumstance and empty of meaning. When we're in distress, that's the one time we're looking for meaning. What we get is pretense. We don't get the food back that we need. In my field, which is medicine, this is clear. The early physicians, as we'll be talking about later, were spiritual healers. They had to be, because they understood the spiritual dimension of everything. Doctors today are mechanics. They don't look at the essence of the purpose of that person in front of them. Where they've come from, where are they going? What is the importance of this moment in their life? What is their understanding of what their needs are compared to your little prescription of a tablet what to be taken twice a day with food? That can't be the answer. It has to be deeper. We all need to educate our hearts. Therein lies the only wisdom. Please come back tomorrow. This is a fun journey. Assalamu alaikum.